Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the CxO Corporate Lounge. This is a unique opportunity created by CxO Global Forum. CxO Global Forum is a knowledge sharing platform for all C levels across the globe. We take massive pride in contributing to the knowledge economy with our league of key thought leaders who are not only domain experts, but those who've had a considerable amount of significance in the fields that they're working in. We're very happy to create this network, which makes everyone realize the importance of collaboration. So, in an attempt to create a one of a kind e-meet session, we decided to put together the CxO Lounge, which we will be conducting regularly now. The format of the show is that we're going to have our members and the other guests speak about themselves with a 2 minute talking time each time we call out their name. We request all of the others to keep themselves muted, but keep your cameras on at all times. Thank you very much. And let's begin today's session with Mr. Zouhair Khaliq. Sir, the floor is yours. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Hansa, and good afternoon to everybody, and good evening wherever you are. I'm in Islamabad. So 2 minutes, it's a little bit short to describe about nearly 40 years of hard work. But I'm a chartered accountant by profession, but a reluctant one. So I gave up accounting a long time ago, got into general management. I've spent about the last 30 years in the telecom and technology field. I was employee one at a company called Mobilink many years ago, 1993, and later came back to head it in 2003, and then also responsible for a lot of mobile network launches through Europe and Middle East and Africa over the years. In the last sort of 5 years or so, I've transitioned to more towards kind of a give back of my own time and energy, if you will. My partner Pervez Abbasi and I created what is called the National Incubation Center, Pakistan, based in Islamabad. And the idea was to basically try and mentor and give back to and guide young entrepreneurs into sort of creating their own businesses and creating their own lives in a way. So that's really what I've been doing over the last few years. On a lighter note, and a lot of people joke about this to me, they say, what does Zouhair do in his spare time? Well, I like nothing better than to kick back, put on some jazz music, and smoke a nice Cuban cigar until the next conference call.
Yeah, we've heard that one before. Thank you very much, Mr. Zouhair. And we'll keep hearing more from you throughout the session. Ron, would you like to go next, please?
Yes, I'm based in Dubai. Ron Thomas, I'm the managing director of Strategy Focus Group. I've had close to 20 years experience in business. I've been CEO, I've been Chief Human Resource Officer twice. I worked for IBM twice. And I also worked for Xerox in their consulting practice. So at one time, before I came from New York, I was the vice president of human resources at Martha Stewart, living in New York. That was during our heyday when we were the hottest thing on the planet. And also during that time, my CEO went to jail. So that was kind of an interesting piece to deal with from a human capital perspective. I left there and I went to work for Xerox, managing their talent and HR solutions practice. So it gave me kind of an external view of the organization, various organizations in trying to solve their so-called human capital issues. I came into work one day and I got an email from a headhunter based in Saudi, Riyadh, inquiring whether I'd be interested in taking a role as Chief Human Resource Officer and Chief Human Resource and Administrative Officer. And I interviewed for that role, and 6 weeks later or so, I flew into Riyadh as to fulfill that role. I stayed there a little over a year and a half, and I was then searched to come to Dubai as CEO for Great Place to Work. And I did that for a little over a year again. And by this time, I just pulled out and started Strategy Focus Group. because since I had been in the Middle East, I was speaking at conferences almost twice a month. So I decided to capitalize on that and start a firm, and that's been coming up on 6 years now. The majority of my work now is virtual. Before that, I spent the vast majority of my time between Hong Kong, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Bangkok, and maybe 1 week out of the month here in Dubai. And from there, once I'd come back, I'd end up going to Africa, either Ghana or Nigeria or to Europe. So had a full travel itinerary, but all that's changed since COVID. Interesting fact about me, I walk 7 to 8 miles every day. I normally leave my house at 5 a.m. and I walk until 7 or a little after. It's probably the best shape I've been in my entire life. And this all came about as a result of COVID being locked down. And once they opened up, you could only basically, go outside in your neighborhood. And that kind of started everything from there. So I'm kind of addicted to walking. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ron, for that lovely introduction. Mr. Asif Saleem, would you like to go next, please?
Hello, everyone. You guys can hear me? Okay. Asif Saleem, I am a banker turned technologist. Have been outside Pakistan for almost over 16 years. I started my career with Standard Chartered in 2001 and did quite a few roles with them. My last role was basically head of digital banking. That was in 2005. Actually, it was called alternate distribution channels then, because the concept of digital had arrived then. So I was the one who basically launched internet banking and mobile banking for Standard Chartered in 2005. And based on that, I was exported out. So I've had the opportunity to live in Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. This is my second stint in Singapore. Ron, you have quite a few things in common with me. I have had the pleasure of living in Malaysia. And then I've also had the pleasure of working for IBM, where I was their cognitive solutions leader for the Japan Asia Pacific business based out of Indonesia in 2015 to 2017. And then did quite a few, before that I've done quite a few roles with Standard Chartered. Last role was basically global head of digital banking, where I oversee digital banking business across 33 consumer banking markets. Then while I was in Indonesia, I was headhunted by Oracle. Currently, I work with Oracle as their industry innovation practice lead for Japan Asia Pacific region, and based in Singapore since last 3.5 years. Had the opportunity to work with a lot of new modern digital banks. One of them is basically Mox, that was basically set up in Hong Kong. It's a digital bank by Standard Chartered, where it worked with a couple of local entities. So it's a consortium-driven bank. I've been working quite a lot with a lot of digital banks in Singapore. Grab Singtel is one of them, and kind of have been like a mobile-first guy, a cloud-first guy. Because that's where I've started my whole experience in. Been working with State Bank on giving inputs on the digital banking piece quite a bit. Was part of the committee that basically presented to the Prime Minister on digital challenger bank on inward remittances, because that was a big focus area at that point in time, which translated into Roshan digital account with State Bank. So that's about me. Of course, it's almost close to about 16 years outside Pakistan. So when I was reached out for this esteemed group where a lot of great Pakistani talent is there, as well as international talent is there, I was like, this is great opportunity for me to mingle with a lot of Pakistani, entrepreneurs, as well as great leaders. Being outside Pakistan, you also kind of realize that there's a huge vacuum that gets developed, right? Because again, when I left Pakistan, I was 24 years old, and now I'm almost 40, right? So there's a huge gap that you kind of develop. So I'm really, really happy to be part of this group. In terms of what is interesting about me, before COVID, I was almost like 20 days on plane because my role required me to travel quite a bit to US and to other parts of the world. But now, honestly, I'm really enjoying because I get to spend a lot more time with my family and my dogs. So that's
Right.
about me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Umer Mughal, you up next.
Great. Thanks for having me again, Anza. I really appreciate it. Umer Mughal here. Well, my career mostly has been in the Valley. I started my career in San Jose at this company called Xilinx. Engineer by profession, did engineering for maybe a year and a half, 2 years, and I said, I can't be stuck behind a screen all day long. So transitioned into technical marketing. And from there, I joined multiple companies, did multiple roles. I headed a product for a $2 billion company in the Valley as well, and then transitioned into running businesses. And towards the end, I was at Intel running a few businesses for them at about $850 million a year or something, which made me travel all over the world, had a big team all over the world as well, kind of got burned out, decided to take some time off. My wife's from Pakistan as well. So during that time, she was like, this is the time. We can move back and do something. So moved back 2 years ago, primarily been consulting and advising a whole bunch of companies here locally. Currently, I am actually working with the chief strategy officer of a large semiconductor company. They do $16 billion a year or so. They're trying to diversify their businesses. So they want to get into new markets. So we've identified 3, and I'm helping them set up their first business unit right now, which is industrial or IoT, industrial IoT, which takes me to the US and Taiwan quite a bit. Now that things have opened up, but Taiwan shut down recently. So going back to the US in a few weeks again. And then I'm also consulting for a startup based out of the Valley, helping them set up pretty much the whole strategy, the business, the product, pretty much everything completely from scratch. And then I continue to consult and advise a whole bunch of startups here. And then a lot of companies who want to go through digital transformation, companies who want to invest on the digital or technology side, and looking at what they need to do, help with business plans, help with strategy, the whole gamut over there.
Right. And one interesting thing about you.
I don't know. I don't have anything interesting about me. I think the complete opposite of Ron. Pandemic, actually, I gained a lot of weight. So I'm actually glad it's coming to a close and I can, get out and do all the active stuff that I really wanted to do. I guess being in the Valley, I'm a skier, hiker, road biker, kayaker, that kind of stuff. So those are the things that I really miss in Pakistan. But yeah, pretty outdoorsy.
Great, sounds good. Thank you. Mr. Adeel Alvi, would you like to go next, please?
Yeah, sure. Well, very good evening to all of you, or good afternoon, whichever part of the world you guys are. It's really an honor to share the forum with such stalwarts and the business leaders in their field. So thank you very much. Really happy about it. I am Adeel, and I have been all my life in Saudi Arabia. I'm currently based here, except for a few years where I completed my engineering in Pakistan and then MBA from Dubai. So, but all my life has been in Saudi Arabia. I'm currently working as a executive director for a company which deals in primarily electronic security systems, which is I wouldn't say quite a niche industry, but our focus is, mainly on the technology part, which is now we're changing a little bit of our positioning due to the market which is shaping up in Saudi Arabia towards smart cities. So the electronic security, is a part of that. So we are into diverse market segments because the regulations allow us to do so. So we are into oil and gas, we're into banking, hospitality, and now healthcare. So this is something that we're currently doing. Being a software engineer, I like to be in touch with new technologies and the way things are coming up, where we are inducing artificial intelligence and IoT in our electronic security systems these days. So we are one of the top 5 players in the country at the moment in their Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, where we are contributing our part towards expanding the smart cities. And when you talk about smart cities, you're talking about smart infrastructure, smart mobility, smart security as well. So it engages me, the new technology and the evolution, especially the evolution of softwares. This is a
and one
brief
interesting
intro.
thing about you that the others didn't probably know yet.
What people doesn't know about me. Well, there is nothing actually that probably when you are a professional, you try to explore new avenues. Maybe something I particularly like meeting people from different worlds, especially from different industries, to gain knowledge and share knowledge wherever I can. So I think it's a good platform.
CxO is the perfect platform then. Thank you very much. Mr. Umer Ghumman, you're up next.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me well? All right. Okay, so I'll keep speaking. I think everyone can hear me properly. So it's,
we can hear you just fine. We can hear you
great.
just fine.
So I'm just trying to adjust my computer and the mobile device. So I'm on both, in fact. All right. Thank you very much, Anza. And it's such an honor and pleasure to be part of such a great group. And I'd just like to give my personal story. I can see Mr. Zouhair, Khaliq over here. I have never met you, but I've always looked at you as one of the guys we should reach at that level. 25 years back when I started my career in the advertising industry. So we used to have our office on Jail Road, Lahore, and I saw you speaking at one of the events in Lahore to Killa, where there was a Mobile Link event, and I tell you, I'm currently working as a country head for Samsung Mobiles. And the day I joined this company, S8 launch event took place in Hazuri Bagh for the first time. I think this was probably the second or third event after you did the event over there. So I followed your footsteps. So I'm happy to be here, and sharing platform is such diverse and enormously successful people gives me a lot more pleasure. So I think probably I can be confident after this session that I'm moving forward in my life. So a little bit about myself. 25 years in industry. I started off 1997, Feb 2nd, 1997 from the advertising industry. Worked there for 3.5 years, Orion McCann, then Lintest, and that got into Tetra Pak, stayed there for 17 years, traveled to more than 30 countries, worked on international assignments for the likes of Egypt, Turkey, and Dubai. So I was in a coordination role. And then I thought that I was getting stale in the industry. It was almost 2012. And I decided to go back to university and try to learn a little bit more. So I went to LUMS, did my executive MBA from there, which really helped me. So after this, I would like to suggest everyone, young people who are listening to us, one should actually try to reinvent oneself during the mid, when you have reached the mid level of your career. It actually really helps you. And
do you mean a quarter life crisis?
Yeah, could be. I was around 38 years, and when I decided to actually go to LUMS, and I tell you what, I did not tell people for the first 5-6 months that I was going there, because I thought that I would flunk. I would not be able to pass the rigorous. It was a daily training program, so it was a weekend program, and I don't know how it happened, but it happened because my wife gave me a threat: if you don't pass this one, I'm going to throw you out of the house. So I said, okay, let's do that. And
Great.
so it was 2 years of a phenomenally great experience. And then, the story goes like this. When your career, gets stuck and then you don't know where you're moving, and then you actually go to a university, and then eventually you are being headhunted by too many organizations. And so it was like 5, 6 organizations were just trying to get in touch with me, and I chose to work for Samsung. And it was and I don't regret one bit leaving Tetra Pak after 17 years and coming to this organization. This is my 5th year working as a country head for mobile division for Pakistan, Afghanistan, running a commercial business to the tunes of $550 billion for the 2 countries. And I, in the last 5 years, a little bit about me. Since everyone is saying something about themselves, and Anza is actually really encouraging us to talk about it. So I tell you, I've been chosen among the 100 top leaders in Samsung world, and then the list has gone to 60 top leaders in the world. And so they have taken my testimonial as an example in looking at how to manage the conflicts. And this video is right now is being uploaded in our internal leadership center, where the leadership programs are going to be the participants are going to be looking at those videos as the examples of what to do. But what I said in that video is what not to do.
Amazing, Yuji.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. But in the first 20 years, I only made
I said
mistakes.
another interesting thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I said in the video. Actually, I made a lot of mistakes in my life. So and the question from the moderator was, so what made you reach this far in Samsung? Well, none of the Pakistanis ever reached this far. So I said to them simply, I made too many mistakes in the first 20 years of my career. So what I did was I decided to avoid all those mistakes, and it worked for me. So I haven't done anything extraordinary, but I've just made sure I don't do what I did in the last 20 years. So it has worked for me.
That's great advice. And also for those of you who don't know, Umer Ghumman is also an avid reader. So just like myself, we love talking about books. Thank you, Umer. We'll revert back to you in a little while. Mr. Salman Tufail, you're up next, please.
Hi, Anza. Thank you for the introduction. It's an honor to be here amongst everybody. Hello. I'm part of a family-owned group by the name of Tufail. We're established in Pakistan since 1953 into petrochemicals and chemical manufacturing. But since the lockdown occurred, I shifted my focus from micromanaging the company and diverting towards getting the tech industry into Pakistan. I've done education in the computer science industry and came back in 2004 to Pakistan from Boston. During this lockdown, established over a dozen entities. Some of them are global, dealing into artificial intelligence, machine learning, first contagion response system for any sort of locomotive, airspace, or cruise controls to stop the pandemic at source. Stuff like food security program in alliance with a university with over 6,000 students in Karachi, creating food resource, food security with an academia from Europe and the project from Chinese government. Besides that, that's future agri-tech, by the way. Other than that, we established a data center, which is in the process of tier 3. It will be the first private data center in Pakistan with hyper-converged flash-based technology, providing DAS, call center, ISP, dark fiber, with other exclusive rights, so on and so forth. Then, besides that, we're also into some nanotech and long-term surface coating against any pathogen on any surface. So the vaccine is one thing that was introduced after the lockdown. Vaccine goes in the body. So anything besides that, we try to cover that and make it hygienic. The place, be it an office, a commercial space, or a residential apartment or home. Other than that, we went into fintech We went into creating cloud services, sort of a super app. We don't call it a super app, it's on cloud. It's by the name of Connect. And we've converted a couple of hospitals with part of our alliances in the Punjab area to paperless. We've covered a lot of banks and we're cooperating with them. This is basically, Connect is an entrepreneur solution, a resource solution for an enterprise. And it has, I would say, all sorts of apps you're using combined into one as a service on a cloud. Besides that, we're trying to provide education to the masses who do not have access to the colleges and industrial and the professors, all through DAS. End goal towards all of this is that the framework has been developed, and we're trying to empower the disabled and transgender communities, starting from Pakistan, going abroad. Thank you.
It's amazing, and all the best with all your noble ideas. Salman, thank you for joining us. Mahnoor, Nadeem, you're up next.
Thank you, Anza. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well and keeping safe. So yeah, it's an absolute honor for me as well to be here. I mean, I moved back to Pakistan just during the pandemic. So I, like many others, haven't had an opportunity to kind of meet everyone in person. So I'm really enjoying all of these interactive online sessions to at least introduce myself and get to know people over the course of, these lockdowns as well. So a little about myself. I grew up in Karachi all my life and moved to London about 6 years ago. I was working in London as a barrister. I made a transition to the telco side over the last 2.5 to 3 years. And that started off with working with a lot of telecom operators in London, advising them on corporate strategy and business as well. And then when I moved back, I joined the Red Tone Group, which is also a family-owned business. So again, it's more towards the telecom and connectivity side. So we worked on the LDI front, local loop operator as well. We're a satellite operator in Pakistan. And now we're working a lot towards digitization. So over the last 1.5 years, my entire focus has just been towards the digital space. And I know a lot of people are working on this front, which has been amazing because we've got to learn and relearn and also collaborate and kind of work on many industry first moves for Pakistan, at least. So I've really enjoyed all of that space. I know people have touched upon EdTech before. I know they've touched upon cloud. And this is sort of the space that, I personally am working on too. So for instance, we launched Pakistan's first multi-country cloud. We've just recently partnered with Google as their in-country focus partner. So we'll be working on a lot of infrastructure related work, a lot of SaaS-based models, a lot of automation as well. Working along the sides of companies like OneWeb coming into Pakistan, Cinch coming in. We've just partnered on an esports front as well. So really, a very holistic view in terms of digitalizing as much of the economy as we can. My own two personal sort of, focus areas at the moment, or let's say pet projects, would be towards esports as well. I am not, a gamer myself, so to say, but I've always found the industry very fascinating. And I'll talk about one interesting fact about myself, which will probably correlate to why esports now. So yeah, we're looking forward to doing our first tournament next month and just getting a lot of the younger population and generation onto international platforms to compete. We're also working quite heavily in the EdTech space, trying to see how we can help schools digitize, because as we know, I don't think the pandemic is going away anytime soon. So a lot of the processes will remain, online. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of me in a nutshell. And a little bit in terms of an interesting fact, I mean, these days haven't been too interesting, so to say. I'm a little grateful for COVID for two reasons. Spending more time at home and family, which was, I think, not really a priority earlier, which was unfortunate. But now it's become something which you get to do and enjoy more. And then secondly, as well, I think you get more time with work too. So both of those fronts, are working hand in hand and going well. My own personal dream before being a barrister, before telecom, IT, digitization, was actually I wanted to be Maria Sharapova. That was my childhood dream, to just play tennis, and that's all I wanted to ever do. I see a very young girl now, Hania Minhas, doing the exact same thing. So I kind of feel like I'm living my dreams through her. So I've been really following her and her father. And I think that that entire synergy has been beautiful to watch, because I used to see that in myself earlier, playing and growing up with my father as well. But I transitioned from the tennis side of the journey with my dad to actually joining the telecom side of the journey with my father as well. So that's me, and really nice to meet everyone. And thank you so much, Anza, for doing this and for having me.
Thank you very much, Mahnoor. You've always had the best, most forthcoming attitude. Mr. Ebrahim Tiwana. Sir, you're up next.
Thank you, Anza. Thank you for having me here. I mean, um I'm really excited about this, and I can clearly say that I'm completely out of my league here with all such, amazing people on the panel today. And to briefly talk about what my career has been like, uh, I have almost 12 years of technology management experience. I've worked mostly in cross-functional teams, and through this, I've had the opportunity to work on a wide array of bleeding edge technologies, and I've also had, the luxury of working with many startups in Pakistan, ranging from financial services, ride-hailing services. Roshni Rides, if you've heard of them, we've developed their core technology and their routing algorithms, and also had the opportunity to work in the cybersecurity space. I don't know if many of you have heard of Pure VPN, which is one of the biggest VPN provider across the globe, and is currently evaluated at $50 million, and is born out of Pakistan. So I was privileged to be part of that team, and was able to see the entire scalability process of that product. I'm a big supporter of open source, and I'd say that one of my core skills is working on bleeding edge technologies where there's complete chaos, and you're most likely bound to fail than anything else. Most recently, I've been working at Falcon Eye as the head of technology, and our primary focus here is to evolve from a conventional location providing company to an IoT based company that really looks to drive value and develop products that deliver value to the end users. And a few interesting things that I can put out to the panel is that we're sitting on 12 years of driver behavior data and location data, and we're very open to collaborate. Uh, uh, in that area, I think a lot of interesting products can come out of the data that we have. And even if there's anyone who's interested, we can definitely speak about it more. I don't know how many of you actually follow the tracking industry space. Generally, I feel that the tracking industry is really guilty of taking a back seat uh, when it comes to the technology front. But I feel that at Falcon Eye, we've sort of taken over the responsibility, of molding tracking companies into technology companies, and we've been able to, from a single product company, we've been able to uh, roll out 12 different products in the last year and a half, which range from products for logistics industry, projects for agri-tech. We've got a complete agriculture solution that can really help landowners uh, keep an eye on all activities going around uh, any any piece of land anywhere in the world. So this is what we've been up to. Few interesting things about me. I feel I love boxing, and I also practice Yang Tai Chi. Uh, and other than that, I really want to study law. I feel that with the upcoming technologies, there's a lot of there are a lot of gaps, and a lot of technologies still need to be regulated really well. So I feel more technology people should consider studying law. It would really open up a lot more avenues, and you know uh, should be able to streamline a lot of technology processes in the upcoming years. So this is pretty much about me, and thank
Right.
you again, Anza.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim Tiwana. So it's interesting to note. So I studied law. I do kickboxing and MMA. I've done it professionally. I'm one of Pakistan's first female kickboxing athletes. So that here's a fun fact. I forgot to mention it the first time around.
Oh wow, it's good
So
to know that.
so that I know for most of you that know me, the head of corporate affairs at CxO. But yeah, it's a passion. And for those of you who haven't tried yet, my advice would be, especially with the nature of our jobs, it's a great way to de-stress. So do try one of the martial arts. You can do boxing, kickboxing, either one of them. So please go ahead. Mr. Haroon Kanth, thank you so much for joining us. You're up next.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I just joined in, so I don't know. I
We
haven't.
just everyone's just talking about who they are and what they do. Just a 2-minute intro.
Okay, great. So I'll be really quick here. Um, my name is Haroon Kanth, and I'm currently heading the Teretas Consulting in Pakistan. I'm the country manager here, and I also head the analytics function, which comprises of data science and BI and software development across Tereda's 3 different regions, and been with the organization for the last 5 years. I worked with different companies before that. It's been over the last 20 years with IBM, with Deloitte, and with Telenor, and now recently with Teradata. I'm basically born and bred and brought up in India, and a migrant, a recent migrant, and a Pakistani by choice. I take really big pride in being a Pakistani, um, with a recent citizenship that I got back in 1998. Um, I'm married with 3 kids. Adventure is my passion, be that professionally or be that at a personal level.
Sir, do talk about your love for bikes. That's something
Oh
very
yes, I ventured into motorcycling for, 3 years back, and many people call it midlife crisis. I say, it's whenever you find your passion for exploration, for adventure, for thrill, for whatever keeps you happy. So, and now recently I've started riding a bicycle, because I realized though motorcycling is my passion, but it's more sitting and driving rather than stressing yourself. So for a fitness perspective, I started now bicycling, and I'm happy. I'm going for a 25-kilometer run today. So let's see how it
wow.
goes.
All the best.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's me in a nutshell. Thanks.
Next time we'll see Ron and you probably join in on the 25-kilometer run.
Yeah. Who knows?
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Next up, Mr. Hussain from Digital Eggheads.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Anza, for having us. I think I'm the youngest over here right now. Okay, so my background is by education, I'm a computer science graduate. I have a strong background of entrepreneurship. I'm leading 2 companies right now, a digital agency and a software house. We founded the digital agency back in 2013, 2014. We are fortunate enough to have Pakistan's first female Google developer expert for Flutter, Sakina Abbas. The news that recently was being streamed over all the social media. She's with us in the software house. We have been working since the past couple of years in this industry, alhamdulillah. We also have a content platform named Mainstream. I'm sure most of you won't have heard it because it's a relatively new platform. Besides this, I'm also associated with Jumpstart Pakistan. I provide consultancy to the new businesses, the new entrepreneurs, because I personally have a history of failed startups. I did my first startup when I was 18, and then one after the other, I had a couple of failed startups. So I learned a lot throughout my journey. I personally, as a human, I personally love the design thinking process and of the overall fundamentals of user experience design. I've worked a lot on this side as well. One interesting thing about me is that in my university years, I have worked a lot on robotics and AI, and we stood third basically globally in a tournament internationally. So this was something that was interesting from my side.
Wow. Well, that's a feat. And I've seen the kind of work that you and Mustafa have been doing. And we're very proud of you. Thank you. Mr. Asif Hasan from Blink, you're up next.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Anja. Thank you, CxO Global, for having me. My name is Asif Hasan. I am the CEO of Blink, currently based out of Karachi, Pakistan, by profession. I am a biomedical engineer. Started my career in biomedical engineering, went to London, did my master's there, and stayed there, worked there for about 2 years. Came back in 2008 and switched to tech industry. Joined a consulting firm by the name of Zouhair here in Karachi, primarily focusing on tech side of ERP and secondary sales solution in the SME market. Worked there for about 5 years, then went on to join another consulting firm, which is CxO Solutions, mainly into tech and mainly into SharePoint space here in Pakistan and in Dubai. I work in Dubai as well in the same company. For the last 5 years, I've been working in the fintech space. One of the few members that has actually started the bill aggregation space probably in 2015 here in Pakistan. Formed my own startup last year in April with my co-founder Habib Paracha, and I'm currently working in an amazing space in fintech, which fully focusing on digitalizing the payment space and the billing space in Pakistan, because there are a couple of problems. We plan to digitalize the invoicing, which is something which many don't have a digital format of invoicing available, and multiple payment channels that we can provide to the merchants here in Pakistan. That is pretty much me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asif Hasan. Mr. Umer Farooq, are you there with us? Mr. Umer Farooq, I think there's an issue with his connection. All right. I think we have covered everybody so far. Is there, if there's anyone left who hasn't spoken or introduced themselves, please, if you could kindly just raise your virtual hand here. I think we're good. Okay, everyone. Now, the format of the show was that we'll have it was to introduce all of you together and get to know each other. And we have about a 10-minute, 15-minute long breakout session on the topic that I shared in the chat box. For those of you who haven't got in touch or haven't read the chat box, I would like for you all to speak about the importance of networking. But how we're going to do this is if you wish to speak on the topic, on the importance of networking, I'd advise you to raise your hand here, or then I'll randomly pick people. So any volunteers for the first speaker? So I think I see hands.
Salman is volunteering, so do you want to go with him first?
Yeah.
Anza, I think you don't see the hand. Is there a lag?
I didn't see your hand. Sorry. Yeah.
I raised both.
I meant as a reaction here.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry, I was raising it in the screen. Anyway.
All right.
One thing I'd like to add with the experiences I had during the lockdown by establishing all those dozen and more entities, you don't need cash. Networking and PR is your only tool, and you get more and more of that with your values, culture, and humbleness. The values you add for others, the value you bring, the solutions you provide, it's all about that. So networking is more important than having a lot of cash with you. Doesn't work. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Salman. Thank you, Salman. Means a lot. So I'm just going to quickly demonstrate. This is how you raise your hand on Zoom, if everyone can see. Yeah, when you click on reactions, you'll see an option to raise your hand. So yes, Mr. Asif Saleem. I know there was, I think you were applauding what Salman had to say, but we'd love to hear your take on it as well.
No, I was just appreciating, just clapping on you, basically, that, how you were going through that. Basically, this is how we need to, go and basically raise their hands in a digital way. So I think my 2 cents over here is, I think I've always worked in my corporate life. I'm not as entrepreneurial as a lot of people over here in this group, but I've seen the value of networking and PR is extremely important because, people are really busy in their own lives, right? And sometimes, they do appreciate when you actually reach out to them and kind of talk to them, right? So there's no harm in basically sharing your side of the story, and in a very humble way, as Salman was talking about, right? So I think everybody over here is an achiever. Everybody will be an achiever by the time they exit the world. I think the most important thing is just that, you have to be humble, and you just, should be absolutely proud of your story and just share it with people. The more you can share, the better it is. That's how I think. Look at Naz Daily, right? He shared about his I had the opportunity to take a course from him, and I'm wearing a T-shirt, that I got gifted from him. He's gone about basically sharing his story with almost close to like now 200 million people. I think he's probably one of the biggest influencer in world, with so many people basically following him. So what he has done, he's just been humble and he's been sharing his story.
I agree with you 100%. So do we have any more raised hands? If not, then I'm going to, yes, Mr. Ron Thomas.
Yes. I'm a huge networker, and I learned this a long, long time ago, that you always try and help people. I'm sure like a lot of you, I get requests on LinkedIn. I will always respond, even if it's something that's just totally out of line. I will always respond, even if it's a statement around maybe you should do better searches and read a person's profile before you send me a request, because you are an engineer focusing on telecom or whatever it is. And it has nothing to relate to me. So I always try and give advice, and I wish them luck. I will never just not respond to anybody. And that's built up over the years. And when people get excited, they get a new job, I will always get a note to say, hey, thank you so much for the kind words, because so many people will never respond. So I'm not looking to get anything out of it, but the satisfaction of doing something to help someone has always been paramount to me in my life and growth, because there were times that I was trying to figure things out and I'd reach out to people. Sometimes people would never respond, and that happens today. But so my way of looking at it is that you always give back, and even if it's just a kind word, it could make someone's day.
Absolutely. And we have hand raises now. The first one next up is Mr. Umer Mughal, followed by UG. So, right, go ahead.
Thanks, Anta. So I'll just share my story, right? So I'm sitting here in Lahore, in Pakistan. I'm not in the Valley anymore, where I have my network. The pandemic has happened, and it was basically the chief strategy officer of this company, a large company. UG would know them really well because in the mobile space, talked to people in the Valley and found me, right, sitting in Lahore. Then the second company as well, the founder basically was looking for somebody with certain skill set. He went out with his network, and I was involved with his network, and I got that as well, right? And then I'm talking to the largest industrial company in Pakistan next week as well. That was also networking, right? So I'm sharing my stuff. But what I've been able to do as well is, because I have a large network in Europe and the US, I've been able to connect startups, engineering houses here with people back over there as well, right? So I think, and it was because of the networking that I did locally over the last 2 years or so. I understood what people were trying to do, understood what capabilities they have, and frankly speaking, there's a lot of skill set in Pakistan, right? And it's, the time is right. In a lot of cases, they have some products or solutions which are very viable outside in the world as well. And it's all networking, right? That's the best. The word of mouth is probably the best marketing tool that you have, that Facebook and LinkedIn and everything else cannot give you. So I think that's the power of networking.
Well said, Umer Mughal. UG, you're up next.
I have to. All right. So when you talk about networking, I just did my networking with Zouhair. So, whenever you see your hero, you need to get in touch with them. So yeah. 25 years, I have 11,000 people on my LinkedIn network. I don't know 99% of them, to be honest, but I think I have a little bit of voice. And why I'm saying that it's networking is important. I was a guest speaker in a couple of universities the last couple of days, and I was talking about the personal branding. And doing the research, I found out that I was going through the TED Talks and different kind of books, and something came on the surface that nowadays the CEOs have a bigger network than the organizations themselves. So just compare the Tesla with their Elon Musk. So Elon has got 56 million people following him, and Tesla has got 1/5 of that.
2.2 billion. Yeah, yeah.
It is less than that, because I just saw it on the Twitter.
Yeah,
so
much
56 million versus 5.6, something of that sort. So, and same goes for the other organizations. So human interactions are becoming bigger and bigger. And according to a research about a person talking about a brand, and the brand talking about a brand itself on the social media. In 2018, there was a research which shows that it's about 561% more impact of the people who are talking to people about the brand than the brand talking to people as a brand. And that's how the power of the employees when it comes to communicating is increased, and it's like 10 times. People sitting in an organizations are 10 times more effective than the organization. So networking is very, 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 very important. And when I came in this organization, my own experience, whenever I'm traveling, I meet up and interact with people. And one of my MDs who was with me, and he said, is there anyone who you do not know? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
All right.
So is there anyone
Okay.
you do not know?
I am not now going to know quite a lot of people now. So yeah, at this forum. So yeah, it is my quest to find people, learn from them, would never end. So I think I'm a lifelong learner, and neuroplasticity is something which never ends in your brain. So the more you use it, you grow it. If you don't use it, you lose it. So that's where the books in the back I'm getting inspiration from Zouhair Saab that I'm going to be making it 3 times bigger. And my library is being built. This is a temp room. So Zouhair Saab, I'm going to catch you.
We're not judging you. We're not judging you. Thank you so much, UG, for that comment. Safir has something to say.
Okay, so just a quick note about networking. In fact, just a quick insight. Basically, we're in the industry since the last 8 or 9 years, and we have never marketed ourselves. Every single client that we've got up till now is through our network. So this is very important, especially for small businesses, the scale of businesses that we are at. So I personally feel that these type of forums and networks are pretty important for us, especially.
Thank you, Safir. Appreciate your comments. Does anyone have anything else to say? If not, we're going to wrap up today's session since most people have to leave. Anything? I'm just waiting for that. Yes, Mr. Haroon Kanth.
Well, I am, in for whatever we have heard about networking and the benefits of it. But I think what precedes or what comes after networking is also very important. Right now, what is happening in Pakistan, if I talk about specifically, is there's a lot of focus on building up networks and creating that influencer base. But what is really missing out is the crux behind that networking. The sustainability, the longevity of that relationship, which comes once you deliver on the value that you are building or are kind of creating through that network. So networking can definitely and is definitely acting as a, we call it the foot in the door. when it comes from a sales perspective or when it comes to building relationships. But sustainment of that relationship, longevity of that relationship depends on how you deliver the value of the commitment that you have given as an outlook of your organization or the product that you're selling. So networking can go to a certain level, but it's not from a, you need to add more after networking to be more sustainable and relevant in the market and in your personal relationships or wherever you look towards it. So that's my 2 cents around networking.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haroon Khan. That is well appreciated. We have to unfortunately wrap up today's session, but I really hope that some of you built some great connections and got to know who all there are on the panel of our esteemed members and non-members. Just going to ask Mr. Zouhair Khaliq, request him to quickly give his 2 cents on the topic so we can just officially close this breakout session.
Gee, thank you, Anza. I thought everybody said everything that needs to be said, but I think I will pick up on what a couple of other people have said. I'm a great fan of LinkedIn and have been for forever. And I always say to people, if you want to reach out to me, my Facebook is for my friends, I'm sorry, that's how it is. But LinkedIn is for professionals, and that's where we connect. But more importantly, I think what Haroon said earlier, and I think to an extent what Ron was saying, you've got to be able to give back, okay? You've got to be able to, if somebody connects with you, it's not just, hey, I've got one more guy and now I'm 10,000 or 12,000 or whatever it is. It's about, can you establish a relationship and can you keep that relationship going? Because what happens is, somebody may be young, maybe not as experienced as yourself right now, but guess what? 10 years later, 15 years later, that person's going to be in a hugely influential position somewhere. And it'll be you who might be wanting to reach out to them. And they'll remember how you made them feel. And that's the most important thing in a relationship, is how you make other people feel. And if you can leave the right impression with them, they're very happy to connect with you again. So always when you're networking, it's about that. That's my 2 cents.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Zouhair Khaliq, for taking out time today. Thank you, everyone who's with us, who joined us. We really appreciate the positive and forthcoming attitude. That's going to be it for today. If you have any comments or feedback, do write to us. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. These are just a few of our extraordinary gentlemen and ladies who are part of the CxO Global Forum. And we wish to hear more from all of you in terms of your feedback. Thank you very much, and let's connect on